What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the ANS podcast. I am your host, as always, Alec. You can find me on Twitter at AlecMiller0423. And we got a guest, a returning guest, our first guest, and now our first ever returning guest. That's Andres Ace Cabrera. How you doing, man? Thank you for being here.
Good, man. Doing good. I just announced my new Star Wars show today.
I saw that.
Yes. So this is my brand new Star Wars show on Twitter that I announced. It's coming next week. October 6th is our first premiere date. It's me and Emma Fife. For anyone who doesn't know, Emma Fife is the host of Watch Ven, the download. She was a host with me on Jedi Council last year, and she's also been a host with me on a few other videos that we've done in the past. So I've known Emma for years. We used to do anime conversations all the time off camera. So that's kind of how we bonded. And now we are talking Star Wars on a weekly basis. It's going to be super fun, super interactive, very much a light and more positively driven Star Wars show. But I'm excited, man. I just announced it today, so I'm free to say it now. I've been holding it for like 3 months.
So that's awesome, man. Yeah, I saw that on your, I think on your Instagram, and I was like, that's awesome. I love to see so many good like Star Wars shows, and it's more positive talk because, man, sometimes it gets toxic, but when you can get two people that genuinely love Star Wars, it's always a good time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing, right? Because there's a ton of Star Wars shows and there's a ton of Star Wars YouTube channels, but I feel like the vast majority of them, at least algorithm wise, are pretty negative, like hyper negative. So I think our show is going to be different because it's not going to be super serious, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. We're trying to, at least I want to try to avoid extremely delicate, deep thoughts conversations like we do on First Cut Live and stuff like that. Just because I feel like I will ramble on too much, and probably Emma will do the same. So, just try to keep it more topical. The Mandalorian's coming up, so there's plenty to talk about when it comes to Star Wars. We'll keep the conversation going. But I'm excited, man. Yeah.
Man, me too, man. I can't wait to see that going on next week, guys. So make sure you guys check that out. But we got a bunch of cool stuff to talk about today. We got a big UFC pay-per-view, UFC 253, the Battle of the Undefeated with Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. We had we also had Clash of Champions, which I haven't even gotten a chance to watch, but I've heard is fantastic from the WWE side of things. And then we have NFL Week 3. It's starting to like shape up to see which teams are going to be there towards the end and which aren't. And we got the matchup for the NBA Finals, which is going to be a great matchup, I think. The LA Lakers taking on the Miami Heat. LeBron going after Pat Riley after all these years. It's going to be fun to watch for sure. And then MLB playoffs. But before we start with that, let's go ahead and start with what we always start with here on ANS Podcast, which is what are you watching? And this is where we give one show and one movie that we watched this past week, or just something that maybe you want to talk about, a movie you want to talk about. So, Ace, I'll go ahead and give you the floor for a TV show that you would like to talk about.
Oh man, TV show. See, that's the one where it's tough for me because I've been trying to watch as many shows as I can, but I'm always slow on watching them.
There's so much content now.
There is. I'll give a shout out to, why not? Out of all the shows I'm giving a shout out to, I'm giving it to the darkest one. The Vow. It's a docuseries on HBO. And it's crazy. So I guess I can go on a little bit of a spiel. I've been following this story since it happened. So this is about the NXIVM cult leader that created that. There was an article written last year about how he pretty much created this cult and kind of had his way with everyone he wanted to. Super dark, abusive stuff, like really like super pitch black dark stuff where he tortures people, and he like has sex with whoever he wants to. Just a really dark cult leader that literally just got convicted like a year and a half ago. And I've been following the story because one of the centerpieces of this story is Allison Mack. Yeah. And I've been watching Smallville since it premiered in 2001. I'm that old. And Smallville was one of my favorite shows of all time. So Chloe naturally is one of my favorite characters of all time. So when I found out that Chloe is inside a crazy sex cult, I was like, what is going on? And then I read the Hollywood Reporter article that came out last year that literally spelled out every single little detail that Allison and this guy Keith Raniere did inside their cult, where they literally abused dozens and dozens of women. And then turns out a couple weeks ago, HBO was like, here's a documentary about it. And I'm just like, what? But it's a story I'm super familiar with. If I have one critique or two critiques about the documentary so far, it's that it's a little bit too narratively planned out. I'm not a fan of like documentaries that really present the information in a narrative structure, if that makes sense. I kind of like documentaries that present the information first and then the narrative. And this one's a little bit narratively driven because the people behind the documentary were inside the cult while all this was going on, while they were still like inside the cult, as in believing the cult leader. So that's my one critique. And then my second critique will probably be that they're not going deep enough yet. And maybe I'm just being impatient, but I'm just like, they're like, yeah, brainwashing is evil. And I'm like, it wasn't just brainwashing, it was torture. Get to the torture, because that's more evil than brainwashing. But they start like 5 episodes about brainwashing, which is true. Like it really is brainwashing. But at the same time, I'm like, this guy tortured people. Like, can we stop acting like, oh yeah, it was normal for people to believe in him? And I'm just like, not that normal. But that's what I'm watching is a show called The Vow. The last night's episode was premiering, and I'm probably gonna watch it later tonight. People are watching this game right now, so after the game, I'll watch it.
I have the game too. Just in the background, but yeah, I've heard about the show. I've heard about it like around SEN and stuff, but then
because Roka talked about it quite a few times. Yeah,
for sure. So I was like, okay, and this is like my girlfriend enjoys like feast kind of things. We love that like true crime stuff, and me and her are really like interested in cults. Like, we read a book that was like a fiction about a cult, and we were talking about how like it's so hard to like see things from the other side when in terms of like brainwashing, like because everyone's always like, I could never be in a cult. I would never be brainwashed or convinced to join some crazy thing, and then you don't realize like you don't have to be weak-minded to end up being swayed by some of these people. It's just their charisma. They have something about them that convinces you to join, and it's insane. But I also am a fan of Smallville. So when I heard, I had no idea about it, but when I heard about Allison Mack being in some kind of a sex cult, I was like, "Whoa, wait, what?" And I love Chloe too. She's great. She's Oracle. We all know her as Oracle too. That was my first introduction to Oracle, was through Smallville. So I was just shocked, and so I'm really looking forward to watching that. We haven't got into it yet. I know we're still behind on Lovecraft Country. It takes us a while to watch things.
That's another one too. I'm behind. I'm behind one episode, but now 2 episodes because of last night. So I'm behind.
We haven't watched. We watched the first 2, and then we haven't got to the haunted house episode yet. So, but we're really slow. We have a 2-year-old, so and he's in his terrible 2s right now. So it's hard to sit down and really watch something. Yeah. And then she's also in school. She's in nursing school, so it's kind of full-time studying for her right now. So. We find time every now and then, but when we do find time, we're usually watching Shippuden because I got her into Naruto finally.
Oh, there you go. What's the show you're watching, man?
Okay, so the one I'm since you went kind of like darker, I'll go a little bit lighter. I wasn't gonna talk about a anime that I've been watching, but I'm gonna go a little lighter. I'm on my second rewatch of New Girl, just because I like talking about this show. I love this show so much. It's so quirky, even though the last 2 seasons are but it's so hard to like, it's always hard to end a show. But to me, like, I just think that show is so good. I still find myself bursting out laughing from mostly things that Winston does towards the end of that show. But I love that show. And if anyone hasn't watched it, please go watch it because it's a great show. And then also go watch The Vow. If you need to get a little dark, go watch The Vow. If you want to take it a little off, then watch New Girl.
Exactly. Yeah, to learn about cults and cult leaders and all that.
Yeah.
I saw like I want to say, I don't think I finished the first season. I want to say I did. I saw the most of the first season of New Girl. I think is what I got through. Not that I didn't like it or anything. It's just I watched a lot of shows. it's hard for me to keep up with comedies for some reason. It's always the one where I'm just like struggling to see it the most, even though it's the quickest one. But when it comes to network comedies, I'm just terrible at keeping up with them. So, but I'll get back into it eventually.
I would say like because the show it focuses on Zooey Deschanel's character in the beginning. You know, it's based off of her. She's the main character basically. It's new girl. She's the new girl. But I think it really finds its rhythm when it starts focusing more on the ensemble of the friend characters too, not just focusing on Jess, but focusing on Nick, which is Jake Johnson's character. You have Schmidt, who I believe is played by Max Greenfield, and then Winston. I think towards the end they all start to develop their own characters, and you really start to love the side characters more than just the main character of Jess. You start to fall in love with like Schmidt and Winston and all that. So I think that's where it took them a while to find their rhythm. That's why I think sometimes people do kind of fall off of it easily. Not that they don't like it, but just more like I'll come back to it eventually. Yeah. But once it hits those like season 3, season 4, it finds its footing and really gets really good, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and go movies, and I'll go ahead and start with mine. I hadn't watched a movie this week, but since we're about to get into October, I'll go ahead and talk about not only one of my favorite horror movies, but one of my favorite movies of all time. Probably like top 5 of all time, which is Hereditary. I love this movie so much. It's one of my go-tos whenever someone asks for a horror recommendation. I say Hereditary, but I always put a disclaimer like it might not be for you, but please give it a watch because I think this is Ari Aster is one of those filmmakers that does grief so well. I don't know what it is, but he can shoot grief. That scene with Toni Collette just screaming in pain after finding spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, after finding her daughter in the backseat of that car is just, it always gets me. And he even did it again in Midsommar with Florence Pugh. But I think Hereditary to me is a better movie than Midsommar. I think it's more. I think Midsommar is more for the art style of horror, whereas Hereditary you could be a casual fan of horror and still enjoy Hereditary.
Yeah, Hereditary was my number 1 movie of 2018. So I mean, everything you said. I first saw the movie and it just floored me how destructive it was. It like broke me to pieces and then burned me alive and then tossed me in the trash compactor. And it was that kind of movie where I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Emotionally,
I know I wouldn't think that it'd be one that I always go to, but it's for some reason I think it's just like rewatching. You mean? Like rewatching, but I always come back to it because every time I watch it, you find something new. You find something new that maybe you didn't notice the first time you were watching. Like after the first time I watched it, I go back and I'm like, I didn't even realize that they were doing that, or that this person was involved there. There were these like sneaky looks that people were giving each other that I think made the experience even better with every rewatch for me. And then the ultimate like heartbreak is to realize they didn't have the family didn't stand a chance. Really, is that they had no chance of making it out of there. They were doomed from the get go, basically.
Yeah, performances in that movie are insane. Like obviously Toni Collette has been giving the honorary Twitter Oscar. For
she should have gotten it.
Right? Everyone keeps saying that. I said that the most. I was like, this is the biggest snub in a long time. But what's his face? Alex Wolff? So good. That guy was like, I was like, oh my God, this guy's breaking my heart. Like he's incredible.
Yeah, because at first, I mean, he hadn't really shown up in anything. It was mostly Nat Wolff getting the parts and getting like the rom-com parts. But Alex Wolff comes in with this one. And I know like my friends were like making fun of, or like, oh, that scene where he just gets out, he just drives home and like lays down, like they're making fun of it, or they were like, how could you do that? I'm like, dude, that's like the best way to play trauma, I think, that I've seen in a long time. Of
just
like,
kidding me? What's so realistic.
Like you wouldn't know what to do in that situation. I would freak out for sure.
Yeah, it was incredible. Now that you mention it, man, I just saw for the first time a couple weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago, like first time ever, Haunting Hill House. I avoided that like the plague. I was like, I'm never gonna watch this show because I'm way too much of a scaredy cat. And I had to like push through it, and I was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna watch it, and I binged it all in like 4 or 5 days. But that's another show that really deals with grief floored me. I was like, oh my God, I feel so much pain right now.
Did you finish it?
So I did, yeah.
You did? Oh man, yeah. It's that's one that me and my girlfriend watched too. Like she doesn't do well with like supernatural horror, but we went through that show like crazy.
Anything that's like something in the background or a dark shadow or a ghost or a demon,
Yeah.
I'm out. I cannot deal with it.
And then with that show, when you find out that that he actually put there's supposed to be a ghost in every shot. There's supposed to be a ghost in every shot, which is crazy. I still haven't gone back to watch it just to probably count them, but I love that show. Because it's what's the director's name? Flanagan. Mike Flanagan,
yeah.
Right? He's one of my favorite horror directors. I think he does horror fantastic. Like Dr. Sleep was one of my favorite horror movies of last year.
Yeah. Really enjoyed that one.
What movie did you watch this week or that you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, this is a great segue to another. I feel like I keep doing this. I swear I'm not doing it on purpose. A recommendation for my channel. But we did a triple trifecta movie watch. RB3 Sabrina and I for reviews, and we did Antebellum, The Devil All the Time, and Enola Holmes. So we watched those in the span of like 5 days because they all came out in the span of the same week, I believe.
Yeah.
And we watched all three of those. So those are the three movies that I watched. Out of the three, I think I preferred Enola Holmes, but the target audience is definitely towards teenage girls in this movie. Okay. And I caught on. Like, it took me a minute. I was like, is this a teenage girl film? And I was like, yeah, it sure is. As soon as the 14-year-old cute boy comes in, I was like, okay, this is not for me. But it was still like fun, and for the target audience, I think it's perfect. Like, this is perfect for teenage girls. I was talking to Sabrina about it, where I said, this is for the same audience as like those other cheesy bad Netflix films, like the Kissing Booth and
The Kissing Booth,
Boys I Loved Before. Like those movies are like actively targeting teenage girls, and they're kind of bad. This one is actually like targeting the teenage girls. It's kind of good, and it's like a different genre too. So I was like, okay, if I had a teenage daughter, I think this would be perfect for
her. I heard Millie was really good in it too, right?
She's great. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, because she's great. And if it's in that, even though I'm a grown man, I tend to like those movies sometimes. Like I like To All the Boys I Loved Before and
there you
stuff
go.
like that. So yeah, so if it's in that vein, I'll probably end up enjoying it. So with my girlfriend. So
yeah, totally check it out. It's definitely it's weird, it's odd, it's upbeat, it's bubbly. Like it's a lot of fun for sure. And at the same time, there's moments that are kind of dark. And I was like, oh, cool. This is like, it's like an edgy movie that teenage girls can watch.
What about the other two? Because I hadn't heard about the other. Oh, I know about the Devil.
Devil All the Time.
Yeah, Devil All the Time. I think my girlfriend and my sister watched it while I was actually recording this podcast last week. But I haven't gotten a chance to check it out. Is it good?
Yeah. A lot of people really liked it. I didn't care for it that much, if I'm being honest. No, I mean, I wanted to like it because that cast is incredible.
Yeah, dynamite cast.
Oh man, and some of the performances are phenomenal too. But for the most part, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it felt like it was just the pacing felt like it was just so sludging along. A lot of it felt very morbid for morbid's sake, if I'm being honest. Because that movie's dark as hell. There's some really dark stuff in there. But I feel like it just felt like excessively like
dark for the sake of being dark.
Yeah, like an escalation of just darkness where he's like, oh yeah, well, this is gonna happen, and it's even more disgusting. And I'm like, I think I'm good. I think I get it. So that was okay. It wasn't bad. It just didn't. I got the point like halfway through.
Like it wasn't for you, really.
Yeah, well, it's not that it wasn't for me. I just felt like the pacing is just off, mixed with the story that felt a little bit uneven. But and then Antebellum, that's another one. Where it's a lot of. It's funny. Those two movies are kind of like, I don't want to say torture porny, but torture porny. At least Antebellum, and Antebellum is super torture porny. And I'm not a fan of torture porn at all, especially when it comes to slaves and slavery. They're trying to make a point about slavery, and it just kind of flat-faced on their face.
There's just better ways to do it.
Yeah, it just felt like very much like, we're going to show you a ton of torture porn, and then you're going to hate the main characters. And I'm like, that's kind of bad writing. That's not how you do it. So I didn't care for that one either. So I guess Enola Holmes.
Enola Holmes is
out of all of them, a teenage girl movie is the one that did it. So
check it out, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of torture porn either. Like, even and I'm a horror fan, but like when it comes to like those tortured porn movies, like Saw, like I can get past like the only Saw movies I really enjoyed were like up to number 3. That was really about it. I didn't enjoy them after that. It was like a twist for twist's sake, and then it's like, okay, like I'm done. I don't care about this. Same with I don't even think I watched The Hostels because I was like, I don't know if this is for me.
Yeah, I've seen a few of it, and I was like, I'm good. I'll pass.
Yeah, like I like horror, but I don't need blood for the sake of blood's sake.
Yeah,
just give me something better. Give me more substance.
Yeah.
But all right, let's see. Just a little update. We look like we're just because I'm paying attention to the game too.
Yeah.
I believe the Chiefs are up. I don't know. They're showing all the yards, not showing the score right now. But
yeah, I see right now it's 2010. Chiefs are up by 10 points.
Okay, which sucks because I picked the Ravens. I do weekly predictions, and I picked the Ravens. I went crazy on a couple picks, and they all bit me.
Yeah, I was gonna say you picked against Mahomes, man.
I did. I didn't like the way he played last week. I know he came back and won, but I'm always of the, even though I think Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in the league. I mean, but lately Russell Wilson's been giving him a run for his money.
Oh man, that game yesterday by Russ. Woo.
Yeah, like I think that the whole playing from behind thing is going to eventually bite him. Like it almost bit him in the Super Bowl last year. If Garoppolo just takes a little bit off that throw to Emmanuel Sanders, the 49ers win that game. So it seems like he just kind of, I don't know, not plays down to his competition, but it's like he wants to keep it interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that seems like it's always going to bite him, and it almost bit him last week with the against the Chargers. He got lucky because, he got lucky, but it's Justin Herbert, who's a young quarterback who, was put in last minute, wasn't able to adjust the way that he probably wished he could have, but. Yeah,
and he got the ball back pretty quick too. I saw that game last week,
and then I had to watch the Texans get stomped by the Ravens, and not because of Lamar Jackson, but because of the offense kept turning the ball over. So it was more about the defense last week. So I was thinking maybe the defense will be playing a little bit better, but they showed the blitz numbers against Mahomes, and apparently when people blitz him, he's like 100%. Like, wow. he doesn't miss. And it's like, okay, maybe we stop sending the blitz at him. Like, all his receivers are good. Cover the receivers and just let him make the decision in the pocket. But I don't know. It's Mahomes. He's one of the best. But that was one of my crazy picks. I also went to go crazy. I also picked, because of all the injuries against the 49ers, I picked the Giants because I think Daniel Jones has looked really good just for a few things, a few problems. But he ended up laying a goose egg. And then I picked – who else did I pick? Oh, I picked the Washington football team over the Browns because I don't believe in Baker Mayfield. And then I got bit for that.
Yeah.
So all my picks are kind of bad this week, but it's all right.
Yeah. I that's why, I don't know, man. I used to be like elite at fantasy football. I used to be so good. I used to win all the time. And now I'm just like, it gives me a headache just thinking about it. I'm so glad. This is my first year actually in like 5-6 years or 7 years that I haven't done fantasy football. I did fantasy basketball last year. I've done fantasy basketball for a few years actually, but I've done fantasy football and fantasy basketball like every year for like 7 years in a row. This is the first year where I'm like, I'm out. It's too much pressure, too much like paying attention to every single little detail. And people are so good now. They're so good at it. So,
I'm in a dynasty league with like someone who actually writes for a fantasy football website, so I'm getting absolutely demolished in every game. Every time I like went for someone, they fail, and then whenever I trade for somebody, they end up it's just because maybe they had like a few good games and they fall off the face of the earth. Or like I almost traded for Deontay Johnson yesterday, and then he went down yesterday. So I was like, okay, but then the guy added on because I don't know have you done the dynasty leagues before? It's where the players, you keep your players and then you go into the next year, and then your draft is the rookies of that year, and then you have to like drop who you don't want anymore.
Whoa.
And bring your roster down, and then so you have draft picks that you can give in trades as well. So I almost gave a bunch of draft picks to get Josh Allen, but I was like, I don't know, I already have like I have 4 quarterbacks I'm not using. I have like Big Ben, Baker, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts is more of a, I'm pretty sure that Carson Wentz is going to screw it up towards the end of the season. And I think they'll put Jalen Hurts in eventually. So he's more of a long-term pick that I'm waiting for. But I've been getting demolished. I'm just like, I got to pay like I have to pay $60 a year to do it.
Wow.
So I'm like, I don't know if I can do it again next year because I'm getting demolished.
Yeah.
But I like doing the predictions every week. I do it every year where I'll keep track of my predictions and see how I did. And sometimes I do good, sometimes I do bad. But this week was one of those bad weeks, and I'm hoping that when we give our predictions today, it'll be a little bit better.
There you go. Well, my thing, basketball is obviously, I told you guys last time, basketball is like my bread and butter. Obviously, as I'm wearing my Suns shirt again.
Absolutely.
It's like the only shirt I own.
Hey, they went undefeated in the bubble, man. Like,
hey, that was amazing, man. I would have loved to have seen Suns Lakers, man. I haven't seen Suns Lakers in such a long time, as far as like competitively wise. And obviously, I grew up with Suns Lakers. That was like my era. Was like Nash versus Kobe was my era.
And they almost lost that, or did they lose that series? The Lakers?
No, Lakers won. Lakers beat us in the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, I remember that.
They almost
won.
Because I think Kobe didn't take the Suns seriously. I think you even mentioned that like I didn't take them seriously, so I had to readjust because that was great. Steve Nash and Stoudemire were great back then, man.
Yeah, it was incredible, and obviously that was my era. But I would have loved to have seen a finally, because I mean, obviously I'm a Suns fan, so I know all about failure and crappy teams. But a kind of good team now that we went 8-0 and that we were looking so elite and so solid. I mean, look at Miami. Miami is one of those teams where they are the team that caught fire the most. And got to the finals. I'm not saying the Suns could have done that, but maybe if they could have done that, if they weren't necessarily the 8th seed, because I mean the Lakers are now on a spree of just going all the way, just 4 more, and they win the championship. But it still would have been fun.
They weren't hitting shots in the bubble, and then all of a sudden the playoffs start and everything's good. Rondo's hitting threes, and it's just
Rondo is the funniest thing to me because I swear he is not playing good throughout the year. And playoff Rondo came out. Playoff Rondo just showed up out of nowhere. And when he's that good,
people start recognizing.
When he's that good too, it's one of those things.
People need to start recognizing when he's legit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I think we're on a delay.
Oh yeah, totally. No worries, man. My bad. But when he's the ball handler, I feel like LeBron has more opportunities to cut, to score, to be old school LeBron, and not be point guard LeBron. Even though point guard LeBron is amazing too, but I feel like having that ball handler lets LeBron kind of go on a scoring spree, which makes the Lakers even better than they already are. So,
100%, man. It is tough, especially when you got 2 of the top 5 players on the same team, and Anthony Davis and LeBron. My brother-in-law, he's a Heat fan, so he's over the moon. He's having the best time of his life, and he texted me last night when the Heat won. And all I said was, dude, please beat the Lakers. Like, just please.
Oh, man.
I really appreciate it. But I'm pretty sure the Lakers are going to end up winning in 6 or I think Jimmy can take 2, but I don't know about 4.
Yeah, I'm going for Miami, obviously. I love that team. It's such a fun team. I mean, you have 2 rookies. One of them is like really good overall. The other one's like a 3-point crazy man with Duncan Robinson. You have one of the quickest rising, most improved players in Bam Adebayo. All-star. And then you have Jimmy Butler, a guy who was literally dumped by 3 teams in the NBA for being crazy. Like, this is a perfect team. Like, it's just perfect. I would love for them to win a championship. I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, and with the Jimmy Butler thing, it's all, he's got that Mamba mentality, man. Like like some of these guys have, and guys like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, some guys can't handle that. I know Cat couldn't handle it either.
Cat didn't want any of that.
No, I don't blame him, man. I don't know. I honestly don't know how I would do if I was on the team with one of those guys. Like I work in the industrial industry, I guess, like, because I'm a mechanic for like chemical trailers, and those environments are like crazy toxic, where it's just like constant berating of each other, and if you don't have thick skin, man, you can't make it. And if you're playing with these Mamba mentality guys, it's the same concept.
Yeah, I mean, think about what the documentary, the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, and
Yeah.
how he just went after every one of his teammates. Even Kobe. I love seeing old footage of Kobe just berating, destroying his teammates. It's just insane. Like,
he destroyed Dwight Howard when he was there. Like, I think he broke Dwight Howard. And it took him this long to finally get that confidence back. Yeah. It's just some of those guys, man. And I think Jimmy Butler is cut from the same cloth. And I will say that if it comes down to like close games, I will give the advantage to Miami because I think it comes down to coaching in those situations, and Spoelstra is by far the better coach than Frank.
Yes, even though Frank Vogel's great, but Spoelstra is just a different level. And also threes, man. I still think that Miami has the advantage in threes, even though Caruso is picking up, Rondo's picking up, and Danny Green is picking up too. But still, Danny Green has been really inconsistent.
He's hot and cold.
Yeah. Versus someone like a Robinson or a Hero, who are usually pretty knocked down. Even Dragic has been solid at 3 point. So I feel like that is going to help them a lot facing off against the Lakers. So we'll see, man. But again, it's been fun.
All I know is that no matter what, there will be a former Rocket getting a ring because the Rockets had Dwight and the Rockets had Dragic. And one of them's getting a ring this year, which last year Kyle Lowry got the ring.
We had Dragic too. The Suns had him for a while.
Oh yeah, we got him. I think we got him from the Suns. Yeah, he was great. And people were actually Twitter like, I can't believe the Rockets didn't give him up to get younger. Like Dragic was young when he left. It's just that he earned his contract and he went where the money was at, and the money's been in Miami since he left. Same thing with Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry left to Toronto because they were offering the bigger money.
It's funny because out of everyone on that team, except Jimmy and Dragic, I think I will be the most happy for if they win the championship, because that guy's been grinding. I remember when he was here in Phoenix, man. I saw a few of his games, and that guy was grinding every time.
Yeah, man, he's a baller.
Yeah, he's just a grinder and a baller, and I feel like, man, I'll be so happy for him once he wins or if he wins against the Lakers.
Yeah, Dragic is one of those guys that he just commands. Even though he's quiet, but he commands like the locker room. He can command demand respect from people, which is based off of his career and how far he's come from where he started.
Yeah.
Slovenian, I believe, right? Slovenia.
Yeah, Slovenian, same as Luka. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be an exciting one, man. But let's see if we want to talk anything else before we get into the thing. I haven't gotten any updates, so we might just go ahead and jump into the UFC, man. There's a lot of it was a good card. Did you watch the prelims? Because I actually only watched the last 2 fights on the prelim card.
Oh, that's perfect. But I did. I'm not good with names, as I proved last time, but I did see the prelims.
I will pull it up right now so I can have at least the fights. One second. Adesanya versus Costa. Go scroll down. Early prelims. So you got the first fight was Kadis Ibragimov and Danilo Marquez. If you didn't see anything worth talking about, we don't have to talk about it. But I know this Juan Espino and Jeff Hughes was a big one because my co-host Jesus brought it up and was like, look out for this dude Espino. And looks like he got it done.
Oh, dude, I forgot what move he did. He did one where he was pulling. So he was on his feet and he was pulling down. He was pulling up the arm and then choking him. I forgot the name of it, but the announcer, I forget his name too, was so impressed by it because it's apparently extremely hard to do. But that choke that he did was crazy. And to think it was a heavyweight to do it is even better. Yeah, I'll look it up right now, but that guy was definitely impressive with his.
I'm trying to see if I can find it. I think it's Anaconda.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what I see him tapping him with is an Anaconda choke from the ground. But you say he got it from the feet?
No, he was on the ground, but I'm saying he was on his back and then pulling at the same time. It looked like an old. It looks so old school that I was like, oh, man, that's wild. I haven't seen that in a minute. So that was great.
My co-host said that this dude Juan Espino should be legit. And after seeing this, is good. Jeff Hughes is no joke. Jeff Hughes is a banger. He can fight with some of the best of them. And to see him get this really good win, impressive win, that's good. And the heavyweight division is one of those divisions where you can fly to the top very quickly.
Yep.
Like it's not deep at all. But the thing about the heavyweight division is everyone can knock out everybody really, and that's the one thing that me and Jesus have talked about all the time. If you give one of these, anyone can knock out anybody on any night. Everyone has power in this division. So when you bring in another, I say the same thing about Curtis Blades and even Stipe to a point, and why Cormier was so successful in the heavyweight division is because when you can bring another discipline besides just I have power, you can really run through the division. That's what Stipe did with Ngannou. Like Ngannou is a monster who I wouldn't want to get in the octagon with him, but Stipe basically took him to town for 5 rounds. Was able to weather that storm and outclass him. So when you have that extra discipline, it's gonna take you so far in this heavyweight division, and Juan Espino seems like he's got it.
Yep. I definitely agree, and I think that it's just fun seeing BJJ guys in the heavyweight division, dominate again. It's so fun.
Absolutely, I love the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff. I've been getting a lot in like grappling and stuff, and how much of a chess match it can be. Yeah. And when you can get something as quick as I believe it's 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
It was only in 1 minute. Is impressive, dude. It's so hard to get like a really good submission like that so quickly. You have to be elite on the ground.
Yeah.
Now going to the prelims, you have William Knight, who is actually a Dana White Contender Series guy. Who we here at ANS Podcast, we love the Contender Series. It's one of my favorite shows to watch because it's just young, hungry men and women who just know that all they got to do is go in there. They got to show out, and they get a contract at the UFC. This guy William Knight he did it 3 times. He was on the show 3 times. First time, I believe he lost. The second time he won, but he didn't get the contract. So because I don't know, have you seen the Contender Series?
I haven't yet. No.
So it's basically
Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, it's basically the Ultimate Fighter, but it's every week there's different matchups. There's always 5 fights, and if you win, you have a chance to get a contract. You're not guaranteed a contract though. Like Dana has to what he saw. He has to like they always say, if you're gonna go into the Contender Series, you either gotta dominate for 3 rounds, you have to knock them out, or you gotta submit them. Because if you just like kind of coast by and don't show, like there's one that he did. The guy looked great, but he didn't go for the finish at the very last. Like he heard the clap of the cinder blocks, and instead of going for the finish, he takes him down. And Dana said, "That's not what I'm looking for. I need killers. Sorry, come back again next time." And it's like that's how hard he is on guys sometimes. And this guy felt that, but in his last one this past year, he got the win, dominated. I think he knocked him out in like the first round, his opponent. And Dana's like, "Come on, man, let's go." Yeah. And it's good to see him get a win here. I know it was a decision win. I haven't gone to watch it yet, but I'm happy to see, especially with these Contender Series guys. It always gives you someone, for me especially, because I jumped into it late. So now I have guys I feel like I have people to root for.
Yeah, that guy is a stocky man. That's a stocky guy right there. Yeah. Basically, I saw the match. I mean, he's using his size, even though he's the shorter guy, but he's using his massive muscles that were just bulging out of his body to pull him down and dominate him on the ground is essentially what he did throughout the 3 rounds. A lot of ground and pound in the last round, which pretty much sealed the deal. But he looked really good, man. He looks like he has a lot of good body control, and he's able to grapple really well. A lot of power from that guy for sure.
Yeah, and this is definitely a division, the light heavyweight division. It's wide open now. The ghost of John Jones is gone. Yeah. Everyone just goes to, especially now with our brand new champion, which we'll get there. Upset, big time upset for me at least. But I'm looking forward to this. Is probably so every year, me and my co-host will try to like figure out what's going to be the more fun division. And neither of us was expecting John Jones to just vacate the title. So I might say towards the end of this year, we might see a big uptake in a big jump in the competition for the light heavyweights. Because now, before it was like, oh, like I gotta work so hard, but then I gotta get beat by John Jones basically. Yeah. So I think that towards the end of this year, the light heavyweight division is gonna really pick up speed.
Yeah.
So featherweight, did you watch this one? Shane Young and Ludovic Klein?
Yes, I did.
All right, so this is the knockout looks like. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I'm pulling up the footage right now. It's funny because they were hyping up Young quite a bit too. But this was an incredible high kick that he delivered, which really stumbled Young. And that's essentially what sealed it. If you rewatch the replay, the announcer kept mentioning that this guy masters those head kicks so well that it's something that he had in his bag that he was going to pull out right away. But he pulls him up with the head kick and then just follows it up with crazy combinations and finishes him, which is great because I think he's Slovakian. I don't know if you have too many Slovakian fighters.
No, there's not many.
So I appreciated the fact that he was showing out for his country. But he looks solid, man. He looks solid. And he finished it quick, too. So it was really impressive, for sure.
That's good. And the featherweight division is one of those divisions that we talked about. It's so not fun. As exciting. It's so fun because everyone's at this. You would say everyone's kind of at the same level. Besides, I think Holloway is above the rest, but he lost to Volk. You know, he lost to Volkanovski in the rematch, and it's, to me, I believe that even though I believe that Holloway won that second fight, it's not for me to say. That's the judges. And when you lose 2 times in a row, especially if you lose your rematch to try and get the title back, you got to kind of go back down. You got to fight somebody. So the featherweight championship is. I know Volkanovski's waiting, but there's so many guys that can be there. Like we're about to get Brian Ortega versus Korean Zombie in a few weeks, which is going to be a lot of fun.
That's insane. That fight just sounds going at it. Yeah,
those 2 guys have been going at it on like Instagram and stuff. I think it's like I think Brian Ortega slapped Korean Zombie's translator at a UFC event or something like that.
Oh yeah, I do remember that because then he went to the Ariel Helwani show.
Yeah,
yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, he like it was in the crowd too.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I'm so excited for that because that translator apparently is famous too.
Yeah, I think he's famous over there in Korea.
Yeah, he's like a famous Korean. I think he's like an announcer or a singer.
Singer. He's a singer.
He's a singer. Yeah,
I remember hearing that. Yeah, so we're finally gonna get that, and
that's amazing.
That could possibly be a #1 contenders fight. But then we're also getting we don't know what Qatar is gonna do yet. And I believe Qatar is one of the fastest rising stars in the featherweight division. His boxing, his striking is elite level. I even threw out possibly him and Holloway fighting, which would be a fun fight. Wow. Holloway and Qatar. I don't know if Qatar could handle him, but quite yet, because I know he is younger. But I would love to see that fight. And then there's one more matchup that I'm forgetting that I don't know why I'm blanking on it. But let me pull up the rankings real quick because we have. We're still waiting for Zabit to fight. Zabit and Yair were Rodriguez supposed to fight, but then Rodriguez had to pull out. So we're still waiting for that. And then, Josh Emmett had the big win, but he ended up blowing out his knee. So he's going to be out for a while. So this is definitely a fun division.
Oh, it's a blast, man, for sure. I'm excited for all those, man. They sound incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait for I'm still waiting for that Korean Zombie and Brian
just to
Ortega.
See Korean Zombie fight. I feel like I don't know. He's just an exciting fighter, and I can't wait to see him fight again too.
And I believe it's a 5-round main event too, so they're gonna get all the time.
Yeah,
they're gonna get all the time. It might not last that long because I think Korean Zombie's been after he got knocked out. Did you see when he got knocked out by Yair Rodriguez? Korean Zombie. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that? Do you think that was I tell my co-host that was a lucky elbow. I always tell him that. He's like, no. He's like, his strategy. He knew his head was going to be there. I was like, yeah, but he wasn't expecting that elbow to knock him out. Like, it just hit on the button.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. It's definitely lucky, but I don't know, man. I just feel like Korean is just on the uptake. Like he's on a comeback. Just because he always looks so good in all his fights. That I feel like it's just going to be him going beast mode.
They call him the Korean Zombie for a reason. Like he just comes forward, like nothing phases him, and that's why I think Brian Ortega might be in for it, man. Because even though Brian Ortega can hit, but I don't know, man. Like Korean Zombie's gonna, I think, walk right through him and get the submission probably.
Yeah.
All right. Next one we have the welterweight fight. I did watch these two. So I know Diego Sanchez. You know, he's a
I did see
lightweight
this.
legend basically.
Mhm.
But he's fighting against Jake Matthews, younger, hungrier. I picked Jake Matthews in this one, and I think Jake Matthews looked great. He looks so much faster than Diego Sanchez. Nothing against Diego Sanchez, but Jake Matthews just looked on a whole different level.
I mean, this is maybe I'm being mean, but this is when age kind of comes back to bite you. And you saw that just seeing Diego Sanchez being very tentative, being a slightly bit slower versus Matthew being quicker. If you see the like round by round, you could slowly see Jake build confidence. Where at first he's a little bit hesitant, yet everything he throws, he lands. Like it's one of those things where his coaches kept yelling at him in the back, like, keep pushing forward because you're destroying him. But he kept pulling back because he was giving respect to Sanchez. I mean, in a way that's true. You should. But at the same time, I was like, man, if he pushed forward, I think this could have been done like second round, if not earlier. Just because he really did seem like the way better fighter. And that's what the case was, especially at the end of the round.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something Jake Matthews is definitely going to have to work on, and especially in the welterweight division, is being a little more assertive, being you know, taking more chances, because it could have bit him, but because of the fact that you know, he is fighting against, say, older Diego Sanchez. Nothing against Diego Sanchez. That's why Jake Matthews, like you said, he gave respect to Diego Sanchez, because it's Diego Sanchez. He's a legend of the sport. You have to give him his respect, but at the same time, when you start seeing like, okay, I'm tagging him. What if I go forward? Because Diego Sanchez kept doing that. He kept having those little flurries, but every time he would go in, he'd throw 5, land 1, and then on the way out, Jake Matthews lands about 3. So it's something that Jake Matthews definitely has to work on. But I believe he's only 20. He's only 28. He's young. He has a lot of time to get ready in this division. But the welterweight division is a bunch of killers.
Yeah. What's good though is that he dominated though. That's what's good about the fight, especially that last round. Like it was, there's an argument to be made that it could have been stopped. I wouldn't have stopped it, but there's an argument that could have been made. That you could have stopped the fight based on the cut. That was a nasty cut on Diego Sanchez.
It was right on the eye too, right here. It could have been stopped, but yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have stopped it either. But especially because it's Diego Sanchez, you do gotta, even if you're the ref, you still give your respect to Diego Sanchez.
That's why got a submission on the bottom.
Man. Yeah, that's why Dominic Cruz was mad in his fight against Marlon Rice. Not Marlon Rice, against Cejudo, because he was like, "Come on, man, I was getting up." But then when you look back at the replay, you're like, he got smashed with like 10 punches in a row before moving. Because I remember yelling at the TV during that fight. I was like, that's an early stoppage. And then when we watched the replay, even on the show, we watched it back and I was like, yeah, it's a good stoppage.
Yeah, it's tough. It's always tough. But I always prefer just like, give me 4 more seconds.
That's the toughest. That's the toughest job in the world, man. It really is. Like there, did you watch last weekend with that with the phantom groin, the knee to the groin?
No.
It was I think it's Ed Herman. Ed Herman was fighting this one guy, and the guy kneed him in the body, but I think it was I forgot who it was, who the ref was, but I guess he thought it was a groin strike, and so and the guy went down from the knee strike. He went down. And he was about to lay down some ground and pound, but the ref called it off, and it was just like no, like, and then you look at it, and the guy milked it. He milked it for the full 5 minutes. And I don't blame him, even though I'm like, come on, man, like you didn't get knee in the groin, like don't like he put on a great acting performance. He was like laying on the ground and like trying to breathe, but it's one of those jobs where it's real time.
Yes.
It's not instant replay. Instant replay is only in finishing sequences.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Look at what happened at the next fight. What's his name? De Silva and Ballard?
Rydell.
Oh my God. See, I'm so bad at names. Yes, that's what I meant. But with the eye poke, that wasn't an eye poke.
Yeah, it was a knuckle.
That's the perfect example of the ref being like, I mean, it could have been an eye poke. How am I supposed to to know? I mean, his eye does look swollen, and it looks like someone did hit him in the eye. It just so happened to be his knuckle that hit him in the eye.
Or there was another example last weekend, Jessica Rose Clark versus I think it was not Avila, but it was somebody else. I think it's like Lapper or something like that. But Jessica Rose Clark, it looks like her opponent sits down and she takes a knee, but it turns out the knee hit her face right before her butt was on the ground.
Oh.
So, but the ref called it off real quick and thought it was an illegal knee, and when he realized it wasn't. And he went to the replay, and replay is only supposed to be in finishing sequences. Like you can't restart the fight after you do instant replay. So it should have been a win via referee stoppage right then and there. But instead, he restarted the fight, and John Anik and Paul and Dominic Cruz were yelling like, he doesn't have the power to do that. You can't restart the fight after you go to instant replay. And second of all, like she took a nasty knee. She was busted open.
Wow.
Like it, and then it just continued for the next like 2 minutes of just Jessica Rose Clark beating up on her, and it was like, come on, ref, like you got to call the fight at that point. But it's like I said, it's the hardest job in the world. It's a thankless job too.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Walker is that his name? Johnny Walker?
Yeah, Johnny Walker.
Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? That fight?
This is last night. Oh no, was that last week? Oh
yeah, that was last week.
That was last week. You're right. That was last week when it looked like he was about to go down. But then the ref let him fight, and he got back in and got the win.
Yeah. What'd you think about that one? Do you think that was fair?
I think so. He was moving more than I've seen other people move without being called. But and I actually gave more, even though Ryan Spann is great, I gave that one more to Johnny Walker, because I think Johnny Walker is that hype train that got derailed so fast. Everyone thought he was going to shoot up the light heavyweight. And then he got humbled by Corey Anderson and lost his next fight. Yeah. So I think this one he learned. He even at the end of his fight, instead of celebrating, he sat down and did his meditating. So I was like, I think he's making changes. He's making the moves he needs to make sure that he doesn't make the same mistakes that he made before.
Well, they were pissed after the fight, the coaches from the other team.
Ryan Spans.
Yeah, because they
thought they should have been called.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's always tough. Yeah, I think it was fair though. I agree with you on that. So
yeah, I've seen like worse where the guy's not moving at all and they don't call the fight, and then I've seen really fast stoppages where you're like, come on, that was a bad stoppage. But like we said, I think these guys they have to adjust on the fly. They have to especially there was one a few weeks ago where Herb Dean didn't call the fight, and that was the one where Dan Hardy stood up in the middle of the broadcast and was yelling at him. And I think after that we started seeing more and more early stoppages, and we're like, all right, now you're overcorrecting, and then now I think we're seeing more of the not overcorrecting, but they might have that healthy middle, I would think.
Yeah.
At the moment, it takes 1 week to change our opinions. That's why I say it's a thankless job. It takes 1 week for us to attack the referees.
Yes.
And they don't and when it's a good stoppage, we're never like, great stoppage, refs. Like it's like referees in like the NFL and the NBA.
Yep.
There's no middle ground. You're either hated or you're not. You don't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they do a good job for the most part too, and I think it's improving, if that makes sense, which is important, because I feel like if you stay the same, that's when it's not good. But if you see improvement, that's when it's better. Because I feel like the reffing for all these card fights were pretty solid.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I agree. 100%. Yeah, these guys are professionals, man. Especially when you see like Herb Dean and Dan Miragliotta and all that stuff. Like, it's. Oh, I think it was Chris Taioni that I was talking about with the knee to the face. That was just unfortunate. But we've never had a problem with him. Same thing whenever the Herb Dean thing happened. We've never had an issue with Herb Dean. It was the one time.
Yeah.
And he even went on Rogan and was like explaining himself, even though he had every right to not have to explain himself.
Yeah.
That's the thing about these refs; they don't have to explain what their mind process is, their thought process is. They can just keep their mouth shut, like most referees, like NFL and NBA referees do. They just don't even bring it up ever again.
Yep.
Because the NFL is actually the one that I had the most problem with in terms of referees.
Well, especially now.
Yeah.
Considering stuff calls that they're making now, where it's a little bit like Really, man?
It's either ticky-tacky or you didn't call obvious
Yeah.
an obvious
I feel like
pass interference
it's always a pass interference though, right? Where it's when it comes to like face mask or when it comes to stuff like that, I feel like it's fair. But pass interference is so subjective. It's so hard to call.
When they introduced the whole challenging, I was like, that's not going to work because they're not going to want to admit they were wrong, which I don't blame them. Like that's the same thing that I believe like Kaiser talked about with referees because his dad was a referee when they're talking about the Elba call in the Schmoedown, and he mentioned like his dad would never in a million years admit that he was wrong on a call because what do you get from that? Like so I get it, but it's just because you want the game to be played 100% down the line, no mistakes. But that's not when you have that human element. That's just not how it's going to be. That's why even when I play MLB The Show, I always put the human element on. I never change it. I never take it off. I keep, even though it drives me crazy when I throw a pitch and it's very obviously a strike and they call ball.
Yeah.
But you still enjoy that human element. All right, let's go to the main card. So we did watch all these. This featherweight fight was tough. Hakeem Dawodu.
A quick shout out to the guy who beat Dil Silva though. Just quick shout out.
Rydell. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped right over it. Yes, Brad Rydell looks fantastic, man. He's gonna be a threat, and this is the lightweight division.
Yep.
Another tough division because you have the monsters. But the thing is, you have that monster right there at the top with Khabib. You're hoping that Gaethje can show that he's human, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. But yeah, this is a fun division because everybody's killers, and even one of the guys that was on commentary, Paul Felder, was talking about this kid Rydell. During the fight because he's good, man.
3-0. That's crazy.
Yeah, and he's had insane fights, and he's had some really good fights in the UFC so far. So I think it's only a matter of time before he gets a top 15 guy. I think what you'll see first though is he'll get that gatekeeper, which is Jim Miller, because Jim Miller always seems to be the guy that when Dana wants to see if you're ready, he puts you up against Jim Miller. Like if you can have a really good showing against Jim Miller, then you're ready for the top 15. If you can't, then you're gonna have to go back down and knock out a few more easy fights before you take on a top 15 guy. But I could see this guy going up against Jim Miller and actually looking pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, man, I interrupted you. That was my bad.
No, please.
This was
if I missed something.
I was like, there's a Kiwi. I gotta show some love.
Absolutely. If I missed something, please call me out on it. I have no problem with it.
But shout out to Silva. He tried, Dil Silva. I think he looked. I thought he looked so good in the first round. But unfortunately, he got tired and he just got outclassed and outplayed.
Yeah, he slowed down in that second and third round for sure. Brad Rydell took every advantage. It comes down to cardio, man. It's cardio. It's the most important part in this fight game. The most important thing you can have.
Absolutely, and it's the first thing that is I can have flashbacks to how painful it is.
Oh man,
everyone can relate to gassing out. That's the most relatable part of any sport.
It is.
Yeah,
and it's because you go in there and you're like, I have all this energy. Like there's no way I've been practicing. And then as soon as you get in there, you're just like, where?
I can't stand up.
This is the worst. But it's tough, man. That's why like when you see these five round fights and these guys going 5 rounds and still looking like they can go like Nunes is one of the ones where she can go 5 rounds and look like she can do 3 more if she has to.
Yeah. There's a few that are like insane, ridiculous cardio guys.
Clay Guida. Guida's been doing it for over a decade, and the dude's hopping around and doing push-ups during his in between rounds and stuff because he's got so much damn energy. And I think it can throw fighters off. It can throw you off with like, why is this guy not tired?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the most jarring thing that you can possibly be faced with is a guy who's not as tired as you are. And you're exhausted.
Just like, is this guy human? Oh, the Ravens put it on the ground.
Oh, really?
But they recovered. But yeah, it's kind of turning into a blowout. It's 27-10 still.
Damn.
Yeah, that's too bad. Lamar Jackson's not having a good game either. So the whole who's gonna be? Oh, it was probably an incomplete pass. It was a screen, but we'll talk about like MVPs and stuff, but he's definitely hurting his MVP chance right now.
Yeah, that's too bad.
All right, next up, featherweight. This is a great way to start the main card too. Hakeem Dawodu and Zubaira Tukhugov. We're gonna pretend like I said that right. But this one was actually close. I think I had it the other way.
Really?
I believe when I'm like watching it in real time, right off my first, and I usually go off my first instinct. My first instinct was, even though I love Dawodu, my first instinct was Tukhugov got it. I think he just did. He was, in my opinion, he for sure he won that first round. And I believe in I think he took the second round, but that third round was, I think, where Hakeem won for sure. But I had the second round very, very close, but I did go the other way of the judges.
Really? That's crazy. It's definitely close. It's closer than I feel like people thought, especially during that third round. Because I believe the announcers were even like, "Oh yeah, Hakeem's got this," because he's calling for it, because he kept going like, "Come on." He kept calling for more action.
The other guy was gassed in the third round.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I gave it to Hakeem, one, because I feel like leg kicks came into play. And even though homeboy's name, I'm always going to mess up names. Tukhugov.
You said it better than I did.
Okay. Tukhugov had his way with his right hand, where anytime he threw it, it landed. But he didn't throw it enough. That's how I was like, man, you gotta keep throwing it, and he just didn't. Versus Hakeem landing all those kicks and trying to call for more action, and frankly giving more action with those kicks, scoring up more points versus Tukhugov landing the right but only throwing it a few times, and the other times kind of trying to avoid him. So I gave it to Hakeem. I think Hakeem did more action, scored more points, and slightly got a win for me. So
it was a split decision. So everybody, it was very close.
It was close.
And the reason I'm saying I thought Hakeem took it, because even like watching it when they were.
You mean Tukhugov, right? Because Tukhugov was the.
Sorry. Yeah, when I thought Tukhugov won is because I had Hakeem winning this fight before. Like I picked him to win this fight. I was pretty confident in him. So like. The results, I was like, man, like that's one that I got wrong, because I was already right on the first two with Sanchez and Rydell. So this one I was like, damn, I first missed, because I was like, Tukhugov won, and then when they announced that, I was like, oh, so I was surprised, honestly.
Oh wow, so there you go.
I mean, I really can't even explain it. I don't know why, but like just from my eye test watching the fight, that's where my mind went.
Yeah.
All right, next. I was actually on the road. I was on the way home during this one, so I didn't get to watch this one. Caitlin Vejera and Sajara Eubanks. But Sajara Eubanks, I picked her in this fight because I think she looked fantastic against why am I forgetting her name? It was Julia Avila in her last fight against Julia Avila, because Julia Avila, every time Julia Avila wanted to stay standing, Sajara would take her down. So I picked her in this fight, but I should have thought about it, because apparently Vejera was really good on the ground.
Yes, she is. That's a strong woman right there, man. Not only was she really good on the ground, but she started to catch a little bit of fire throwing hands towards the later parts of the rounds, later part of second round, and then the later part of the third round, where she's starting to gain more confidence, realizing her size was it's a dramatic difference, man. Like if you saw that fight,
not very tall. She's a little shorter on the shorter side.
Yeah. And Viada was just like, wait a minute, I'm so big. I can just like literally just avoid and use my reach and use my size to just punch down, essentially, because she was so much taller, that she looked really, really, really solid. Definitely a bigger fighter for sure. And it showed throughout that fight.
And this was going to be a big test for Eubanks, because she's number 13 and Vejera is number 7. So it was going to be a big test, because Avila was ranked a little higher, I believe, and that's how Sajara got into the rankings. But I was thinking, like, because every time Avila picked up steam on the ground, on her feet, Sajara would take her down, and Sajara was just so strong that she was able to keep Avila on her back, and was even starting to frustrate Avila. So I was wondering if she was going to do the same thing. But if Vegeta, like you said, she's a much bigger woman than, so I was wondering if Vegeta, like you said, she's a much bigger woman than Eubanks is. If she was able to if she stuffs those first couple of takedowns and says, "Okay, I'm bigger, I'm stronger. I don't have to worry about you taking me down," because Avila in that fight, she had to worry about that. Like she had to throw and like be aware of like what she threw, and every now and then she'd throw a kick that Eubanks would catch, take her to the ground immediately. So she had to think about like, and I think some fighters are just better when you don't have to think about every little decision you're gonna make, when you can just go out there and throw. And if Vegeta was able to do that, then 100% I can see why she gets the win, why she won.
Yeah, it was a good showing, man. And I'm definitely curious where I can see her going, because she's very solid. And again, if she can use her size and her reach, and at the same time use her ground game, I think that's a really solid overall fighter.
Yeah, I can pull. I have the bantamweight rankings right here. Actually.
Oh, there you go.
So above Vegeta is Irene Aldana, who is fighting next weekend against Holly Holm, which I think is a #1 contender fight for Nunes. But Nunes just had her baby. Congrats. We don't know how long she's going to be out. You know, I'm a parent. I've been there with when a newborn. Even though you're not the one that gave birth, it's still tiring. It's very exhausting.
Yeah. Isn't she fighting what's her face? Australian
oh yeah, she's fighting
Megan?
Oh yeah, she's fighting Megan, but that's in the featherweight. Because remember, she's a double champ.
Right.
And there's only like
yes,
three. There's
right.
only like three featherweight three featherweight fighters, which I think it's Nunes, Megan, and who's the other one? She just fought her, Felicia Spencer. Those are the only like three featherweight fighters. But yeah, she's giving Megan Anderson a chance. I think that's in December. I think that's in December.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it's this year.
Yeah, so she's gonna rest, and then so really the division's gonna have some time to really flesh itself out. Because Irene is fighting Holly Holm. I think that if Irene has a really good showing, she doesn't have to have. I don't think she'll have to fight any again to earn a shot. She will automatically get it because Irene went up against what's her name? It might have been Vegeta, but for a long time Vegeta was like no one was fighting her.
Yeah.
And then Irene comes in and knocks her out.
Yeah.
So Irene Aldana is definitely up there, and if she wins against Holly Holm, I think she'll earn a shot immediately. If Holly Holm wins, she doesn't. I don't think she does because she's already been knocked out by Nunes last year. So it is harder to get a shot. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Vegeta that Irene Aldana beat. She knocked out Juliana Pena. That's who she beat.
Yes.
That's why Irene flew up the rankings so fast. But then you have Raquel Pennington above her, who doesn't have a dance partner at the moment.
Who was her last fight? Who's was Raquel's last fight?
Pennington's last fight. It was a win, but it was a decision win against Marianne Renaud.
Okay.
Yeah, Marianne Renaud, and she handled her for the entire time, really, basically. And then I don't think Juliana Pena has a dance partner either. Neither does Aspen Ladd, but Aspen Ladd is also recovering from an injury, if I'm not mistaken. So and then Duranemy is also fighting. Duranemy is fighting on next week's card too. I can check who that is. So and Duranemy, I believe she almost knocked out. She almost knocked out Nunes in that fight with an up kick. I for a second I thought she did knock her out, and then the horn rang. The horn went off. So it was like Nunes got saved, and then Nunes handled her for the next rounds. Oh, sorry. Duranemy is fighting Juliana Pena.
Oh, there you go.
So that's a big time fight too. That could possibly very much be another rematch, because I think if Duranemy does win that fight, she could earn a title shot because she didn't get knocked out by Nunes. She hung with her for 5 rounds. But if Pena wins too, it's a new challenger, and I know Nunes is looking for new challengers.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the first. I mean, this is fight of the night, even though it didn't go the full. Usually a full fight, a 3-round fight gets a fight of the night. But this one, Kai Kara France and Brandon Royval. So do you know the story of Brandon Royval?
No, share it.
So on the card where it was Woodley versus Burns, on that card, Brandon Royval got the submission win and got actually and after the win, he was crying in his interview because he was like, man, I have to go into work on Monday, like, because he works a full-time job because these guys don't get paid enough. Some of these people have to work full-time jobs. And he was like crying because he was like, I have to go to work and can't even enjoy it. And I have to go right to work on Monday. But then when he got a performance of the night bonus, it's $50,000.
Yeah.
He tweeted and said, I quit my job. He's like, I quit my job. Amazing. I can focus completely on fighting. And me and Jesus are talking about, all right, if that first fight was him not 100% focused on fighting, this is going to be a much more dangerous Brandon Royval. And I think me and him called it because he looked insane in this. Kai Kara fans didn't know what to do in this fight.
Oh, it was incredible. Like, the guy is so fast. And so electric that it was just insane. It looked like he could never stop, even though, like you said, it wasn't necessarily the longest fight. That spinning back elbow was crazy.
this was an up and down, like that first sequence, and that's why I love the flyweight division. It's so much fun because these guys go ham, like they do not hold anything back, and that showed in the first couple minutes of this round because I believe Kai Kara France drops Brandon Royval. It doesn't drop him, but he brings him to a knee with a punch, and then that was when the spinning back fist happens, and then it knocks down Kai Kara France, and it was insane. But I think that second round, it was like a foregone conclusion, basically, that Brandon Royval was taking it.
Yeah, and the fact that, I mean, there's something about guillotines that it really takes a special. I feel like most people now can squeeze out of guillotines, but that guillotine was so tight that I was like, oh my God.
He even readjusted his feet. Like, that's how deep he had it in. Was he was able to readjust his feet?
Right.
Because it did look like for a moment that France was going to get out.
Yeah,
but then he had readjusted and just went deeper.
That to me shows like that is a different level of fighter. The fact that he's able to look so good on his feet and so quick, and at the same time finish the fight with a guillotine, which again is harder to do nowadays, considering that most fighters are now able to squeeze out of it. They know how to get out of it a little bit better than back in my day, in the UFC days of like 15 years ago, when guillotine was like over and everyone did it. But now it's like most people don't do too many guillotines because it's easier to get out of. But
it's easier to get out of. Usually, if you don't get it in, you can burn your arm out and turn your arm into a noodle for the rest of the fight.
Yeah.
But also, you end up on your back. If you don't get it, you end up on your back. That's another thing.
And the fact that he got it and got it so efficiently, I was like, that's impressive.
Standing. He jumped on it.
Yeah. Incredibly impressive finish. Definitely. I don't know if you got the bonus or not as far as finish.
He did. He definitely got. He got fight of the night. So that's 50. That's 50 apiece. So Kai Kara gets his money too.
Yeah. Which he deserved.
Yeah, man, it was fantastic. Yeah, and this guy's gonna be a beast, man. He's already number 9 in the rankings. Kai Kara France is 7, so the rankings haven't been updated yet. So I'm assuming when they're updated, Brandon Royval will at least be number 7, and Kai Kara France will be 9. Which means above him, it only puts Jussier Formega, Alexander Pantoja, who's very, very good. Alex Perez, Askar Askarov, Brandon Moreno, and Joseph Benavidez, all killers. But Figueiredo has his fight against Cody Garbrandt coming soon for the flyweight title. Garbrandt's going to make the cut and try to get down to flyweight, and who knows where the title will be then. But I think Figueiredo could handle Garbrandt, even though Garbrandt's great.
Yeah. Still, that's a good fight.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a banger. Like that one's don't go to the restroom. Don't go get a snack. You sit down for the entire fight because it's not going to last. All right, let's go to the next fight, which is the co-main event, and that's Dominic Reyes and Jan Blachowicz. So before we get into the result, what were you thinking? Where was your head going before? Who'd you pick before the fight?
I had Reyes, but I didn't have necessarily. I thought it would be a close fight. Is kind of what I'm trying to get at. I think Reyes would have squeezed out a decision, or maybe rack up a little bit more points.
Yeah.
But I have to give a lot of credit to Jan because I feel like he showed a lot in this fight, considering that he started off with those kicks And it looked like he was going to dominate throughout with those kicks, but then he throws hands, and his boxing is incredible, and he has so much power that I feel like, okay, this guy's a worthy successor of someone like a John Jones, at least so far. I don't know if you have any opinion on that. You don't? No?
No. I had Reyes winning, but I thought when Blachowicz, like I liked Jan whenever after he knocked out Rockhold, he knocked out Rockhold clean, like that was nasty. But then he had that really slow clunker of a fight against Jacare, who was a middleweight going up to light heavyweight. So I was like, man, I don't know if he's got it. And then he knocks out Corey Anderson. So I was like, this guy's like hot and cold. He has a good fight. He has a bad fight, even though he's winning. With Dominic Reyes, I thought he beat John Jones. I called it in John Jones' favor. In Dominic Reyes' favor.
I think a lot of people did. I did too, to be honest. But at the same time, I did see the argument of like, it's John Jones. Like they're gonna give it to John if it's not a decisive win.
Yeah, if you want to be the champ, you got to beat the champ mentality that my co-host is always talking about. I'm like, well, no. I mean, he did beat him. He beat him in 3 rounds.
He beat him. Yeah,
but
he beat him, but you have to like dominate now in order to like take titles away.
Exactly, so. And that's where I was like, okay, I thought Dominic Reyes was going to come in here and just assert his dominance, and instead he looked scared. I don't know if like what was going on, but he looked scared, and I think that
it was those damn kicks.
It was. You're absolutely right, but that was my issue with it, and I think Jan came out looking like I'm the champ, and the thing is, coming in, Dom was saying I'm the uncrowned champ. And I think I even told my co-host, I think that might have gotten in his own head a little bit of thinking like, this is my championship. This guy doesn't even belong here. Why am I doing this? And then you end up getting shown out like that. And I think he even said, my co-host said early stoppage. I was like, I don't know. He got hit hard. He was bleeding a lot. Like, I don't know about the early finish. My co-host, he might not be able to join us. He's barely heading home from
work. Yeah, that's no worries.
But
if it was early, it was only maybe slightly early, but I don't see it as early. To me, like that first round showed me his power with his kicks, and then my head immediately went to like, oh damn, his power with his fist though is even more significant. And he showed that a little bit in the first round because he was landing with those strikes. And then at the second round, obviously, we got what we got as far as the finish.
Yeah.
Which to me, that the amount of power that I'm gonna mispronounce his name, Blachowicz has, that's an overwhelming amount of power. I haven't seen that much power in a minute. That's power.
It is, but that's why I thought Reyes was gonna come in, because Reyes he can be technical in those in those first 2 rounds against Jones. He was dominating Jones, I think.
Yeah.
Like he was asserting his dominance over Jones. It wasn't until that 3rd round where I think he gassed out. So I'm wondering, maybe also he was like, all right, if this goes 5, I gotta not gas out, so conserve my energy. But then you end up, like you said, taking those kicks, and we'll talk about that later with the Paulo Costa and Adesanya fight of going out of your normal game plan because you're focused on the 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things we have to talk about, but I'm on that same thing where I'm going to give my hats off. I'm gonna take my hat off to Jan. He came in here, and my co-host didn't necessarily want to, but he was like, nah, like Dominic Reyes looked a little hesitant. He looked off. I was like, yeah, he looked like he didn't come to play, whereas Jan did. That's an ability. That's a strength. That's not a oh, you don't get to take away from somebody else showing up because the other guy didn't. That's a strength to me. That's like saying like, oh, you don't get to like, let's say Deshaun didn't show up and Lamar did. Like Lamar, like that's what he did isn't as good. Like, no, that's a strength. That means that Lamar had the mental fortitude to come in here and take care of business, and Deshaun didn't. Same here. Jan had the mental fortitude to come in here and say, I want this. This is mine, and took it from you. So in my opinion, I know people want to see a rematch. I don't. I think Reyes needs to win 1 or 2 more.
I agree.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty, to me at least, it was an overwhelming win. I mean, he was dominating him and then he finished him. Like, to me, this is not necessarily something where I was like, I don't think this was going to be that close.
Yeah.
At least not how it started. It wouldn't have gone that close. And the fact that even in the first round, like when he had his hands up and you could see that he was almost punching through it because it had so much heat.
Absolutely.
And then it eventually did punch right through it to the point that he broke his nose. It was just incredible. Nasty. It was great.
Yes, hats off to the new 205 champion.
Yeah.
I hate the whole, the ghost of John Jones is gonna be over because he didn't lose. No, like y'all gotta stop doing that. That's ridiculous. Yeah. I hate talk like that. Let this guy have his win.
Yeah, it's always gonna be there though, because it's John Jones.
I know.
He's like the MJ of UFC.
I'm known notoriously here on this podcast for not liking John Jones as a person. Yeah? Because I don't think he's a good person, but he tries to put off that nice guy mask. And I'm a wrestling guy. I'm a wrestling guy that says if people are gonna hate you, give them something to hate. You're already kind of people don't like you because they think that you're a bad person. So come out here and be like, and just start talking trash to everybody. But he doesn't. He does the whole, I respect you, even though when Cormier retired or when Gustafsson retired, John Jones sends out a tweet that undermines Gustafsson's retirement. Or when Cormier retired, he sends out a tweet that kind of undermines Cormier's retirement. It's like, come on, dude, you're the villain. Be the villain.
Yeah, and the fact that, I mean, how many times has John Jones, how many controversies have we had? I mean, this is the guy who's probably the best fighter we've ever seen at 205. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is hands down the best fighter we've seen at 205, if not the best fighter ever.
He's always the pound for pound guy.
I think he is the pound for pound to me, in my opinion. And yet, so many controversies to the point that it's like, God, this guy he could have been like Michael Jordan. Like he could have been the GOAT and just like the face of the UFC for 40 years, kind of like the Michael Jordan's the face of basketball for years and years to come. And he had too many. Like, what was the last one? What was the last controversy? The fact that he even had to vacate this title.
Oh, this one was a money one. This one was because Dana wanted him to go up and fight Ngannou. And he asked for 30 mil.
Yeah, and that's right.
That one wasn't really a controversy. Me and Jesus, we constantly champion fighter pay. We think the fighter pay is way 100%. Too low. And they 100%. The UFC makes so much. There was they had Dana White on First Take one time, and and Skip and Max weren't on it. It was Dominic Foxworth, who used to be the president of the NFL Players Association. Yeah. So he went out there with the tough questions, and Dana White was starting to get mad. And then they come back from commercial, and then you had Dominic Foxworth kind of apologizing, or no, it wasn't back from commercial, but it was like before the segment ended. He was apologizing, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like for like coming at you with all these questions." And I was like, "Dude, that's so obvious that ESPN was in his ear saying,
oh yeah, they had to
stop going at him because ESPN has the rights to stream UFC." So it's like Dana was probably so Dana was probably like, "Hey man, this is some BS. Why is this guy attacking me all these questions?" Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just Dominic Foxworth was asking him all the tough questions that we all want answers to, and he was just coming out like, "They get paid. They got a new contract. They got this and that." And it's like, no, whenever a fighter wins a championship, you make them sign a contract that gets them stuck, and they're not allowed to do anything else. And it's just, but no one talks about it because Dana doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. What was the one before that though? Just to kind of finish off my question.
I believe it was. I think it was the he got popped again. I think that was the last one, because the first controversy was the whole cocaine and he wrecked into a guy. But the second fight against Cormier, I believe he got popped. And he had just dominated. He dominated Cormier. I think he did he TKO him. He might have TKO'd him in like early in the fight, and then it came out and he got popped for steroids. And he said it was.
Well, that's not the first time though.
Yeah, he said it was a male enhancement pill that he bought from the gas station. It's like, well, that's the second time in a row that this happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, like, man,
like,
John Jones. Damn it, John.
Like, he doesn't have the juice. He's that good. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get into the main event.
Yeah, main event.
Congratulations, Jan Blachowicz, on your championship fight. I can't wait to see who you fight next. I'm thinking probably the winner of Teixeira and Thiago Santos when that fight happens. We don't know when. Each one keeps. I think first Glover caught COVID and then got rescheduled, and then Thiago caught COVID. So it's tough right now. But let's get to the main event. This is the one that a lot of people were looking forward to, including me. Even though Adesanya had that poor showing against that embarrassing fight against Yoel Romero, I did not forget that this man is a genius in striking. So I was excited for this. I picked Adesanya. I think that he was a better striker right out the gate. Paulo Costa has power, and to me that was all he had. In an advantage. And even then, we saw Adesanya go toe to toe with Kelvin Gastelum. Who has maybe not as much power as Costa, but very close to it. And Adesanya beat him. So I had Adesanya. Who'd you have going into this one?
Adesanya as well. I mean, the fact that he's such a good striker, probably one of the best strikers we've seen in a minute. This was a dominant fight. Like I even tweeted it out. I was like, he dominated the whole fight. 100%. It was short, and it wasn't even like he was going for the kill. Like he was kind of taking it easy, like Adesanya was. He was like, "Oh, I can do this all day," and he was planning to do it all day. But the fact that Acosta was like, "I'm good, I'm out," like his body just gave out, considering he just couldn't keep up with it. Obviously, he got clipped and all that, but still, it really did seem like his body was giving out. So to me, this was the leg. That's what it was.
Talk about leg kicks. That leg was nasty.
I literally wrote in my notes throughout this. My theme of the card was leg kicks are underrated.
Yes.
Because I do feel like leg kicks work. Like they really work. They score points. They hurt your damn leg to where you can't move the same way. And it makes you hesitant to go in. Which will make you lose even more points because that makes you lose the fight, right? Because the whole point is to score points. If I'm afraid of leg kicks, then I'm not going to go in and score some points. And that's what happened to Acosta. He couldn't get in. He just couldn't get in.
And octagon control is one of those criteria for when judges are scoring. Like if you're on the inside or you're on the outside, and when you're scared of leg kicks, you're normally going to be on the outside of on the inside of the octagon. So I'm on the outside of the octagon with your back to the fence, and that looks bad. But yeah, on this one, I think Paul Felder mentioned it that leg kicks suck, but it's one of the things you have to work on because even though you're like, but you hurt your leg, you can hurt your leg throwing kicks. Like, yeah, but what's worse, like you getting a bruise from throwing a kick, or you eating that calf kick like constantly, and your leg looking like burger. Go back to the Thiago Santos and John Jones fight where both guys were leaving on wheelchairs because of leg kicks. Like I think Thiago Santos was eating up John Jones's legs, and John Jones threw that kick that blew out Thiago Santos's knee. Like you have to do it. It's something you got to work on, and Costa looked like he wasn't ready for it. I think, like we mentioned earlier, he went in there with a game plan of I'm gonna save what I have for the upcoming rounds. And because of that, he went away from his normal game plan. His normal game plan is I'm going to walk you down and I'm going to knock you out. And he kept saying that the whole lead up to the fight. And then we get to the fight and he didn't do it. Even before the leg kick started, he was kind of hesitant, doing the whole taunting thing. And I get it. You want to show out, but you end up losing. And now not only do you have a loss, you have a decisive loss on your record. Like you got to go to the back of the line, Costa.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that I really do feel like it's so hard to touch Izzy. Like it's so hard to touch him. Like the guy is one of the best at lateral movements and at reach. Like that reach is gnarly, man. The fact that he's able to, with the kicks, the reach that he has with the kicks and with his fists is just so hard to even hit him.
Absolutely.
That I can't hate on Acosta too much because I do feel like it was hard. Like he tried a little bit and he was like, damn, I can't even get close. And yeah, this is to me, my question to you, man, throughout this whole main event, and it's the same thing I asked my roommate because we saw the fight, is like, who's next? Because
I
don't think anyone can touch Izzy at this point. I think Adesanya is just the step above everyone else for now. Maybe in a year and a half he might find some competition, but at least right now, I don't see anyone even coming close to Adesanya.
We do have some fights coming up. So we do have Whitaker versus Cannonier coming up soon. I'm thinking if Whitaker wins, I wouldn't say he deserves it yet. Okay. Or I would have to see a dominant win over Cannonier for Whitaker, because I think going 5 rounds with Darren Till, even though it looks great,
he looked good against Till.
He looked great, but I want that finish. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that finish to say, okay, you're up next. Now, if Cannonier can just if he can dominate over Whitaker and show that he's ready for the big time, I would give him the shot. I don't know how he would fare against Adesanya, honestly. I think he's got the power, but I don't know if he has the head movement that Izzy has, or the hands that to be able to touch him. But it'd be a fresh matchup. Another one, we are getting Hermanson hasn't signed on for a fight, or is he might be fighting Darren Till. I'm not sure, but Hermanson could be somebody, but that would introduce another aspect, because Hermanson can wrestle, and he has jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, and he had the dominant win over the guy who took Adesanya the furthest in his most recent career is Gastelum, and Hermanson choked him out in a few seconds.
Yeah.
So maybe Hermanson deserves a shot. I don't know. Honestly, if I'm Adesanya, no one deserves yet.
But he did mention it, though.
What did he say? I didn't watch the interview.
He said Cannonier. He said if Cannonier beats Whitaker, I want Cannonier.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Fighting champion. That's what I love to see.
Yeah, that's what he said. He made it clear, too. I think that's the first thing he said after the fight. Oh, I mean, besides the whole taunting thing, but he said, like, give me this guy. This is the guy I want. I think he deserves it. I think he said I tweeted at the guy, or I texted the guy, and I said, hey, if you beat Whitaker, I want you to have the fight.
Okay, I'm looking to see if when that fight is scheduled, because I want to see, because that's coming up. I know that, I just don't know where it is. Yeah. It's not next weekend. Let's see, is it on the Moraes versus Sandhagen? That's gonna be a great fight too. Let's see, because I was hoping it was gonna be a main event, but I don't see it as a main event yet. Or maybe it's like later in October.
It might be the Habib.
Maybe. Card. Oh, you know what? It is on that card. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's the co-main.
It might be the co-main event. Yeah. Yep.
You're absolutely 100% correct on that one. That's going to be, because that's a great card up and down. It's all ranked fighters.
Yeah.
It's all ranked matchups. So you're more than welcome to come on for that one. I know you're probably going to want to talk that fight, but
yeah, I think I'll be home by then too. So I'll see that one.
So who would you want to win? Who would you have winning that fight? Let's go ahead and go over it. Who would you have winning that fight?
I'm that one guy. I'm the Whitaker defender. Because my roommate was crapping on him the other day, and because my roommate and I are UFC fans, and he was crapping on him. He was like, "Nah, man, Whitaker, whatever, he's done." And I think Whitaker looked good against Till. I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked better than he looked before.
Yeah, Till couldn't get in there,
something. Man.
Yeah, Till couldn't get in. I think that was the problem with it, is that Till, every time Till tried to advance, he was getting hit, and 100%. I understand why. Like, it's Whitaker. He's really great, but that just shows how good Adesanya is. So we have to see what's going to happen with Cannonier, because it's the co-main event of that card. So you have on that card, you have Habib and Gaethje. Whitaker and Cannonier is the co-main. After that, you have Volkov and Walt Harris in a heavyweight bout. Lightweight fight, you have Makachev taking on Dos Anjos, going back down to lightweight for Dos Anjos. Then you have Cynthia Calvillo taking on Lauren Murphy. And then the light heavyweight was the fight we've been waiting for forever, the rematch of Kudalaba versus Ankalev. Because that fight's been getting canceled because of COVID as well.
Yeah, that's a great card.
Yeah, it's gonna be 100. It's gonna be great. Who do you have winning that Gaethje and? Just curious. I don't know. Next time we'll talk. Who do you have winning that Gaethje and Khabib fight?
Here's what I'll say. I have Habib, but I still feel like Gaethje is gonna give him a run. I really do feel like he can give. Maybe he can take a few rounds.
Yeah.
I think that could happen, and I'm not sure what Gaethje's strategy is going to be. I know, at least if I were Habib, I would immediately know my strategy, considering that he likes to play around on his feet, but he knows he can destroy anyone on the ground.
Yeah.
So I would assume he would try to take Gaethje down, even though Gaethje's a really good wrestler, but I just don't feel like, Gaethje can kill a bear like Habib can. I have Habib, but I do feel like Gaethje can stuff a few takedowns and maybe get a couple strikes, maybe get a round or two.
Yeah.
So
This one is tough, and it's because I it might be the whole, because I said the same thing whenever right before Khabib went up against Poirier. I told my co-host, I was like, this might be it.
yeah,
This might be the one. And then Poirier goes in there and lays an egg.
yeah,
And my co-host said, like, that's what Khabib does to everybody. They're confident. They're confident. They make you believe that they're the ones that can do it. And then Khabib goes in there and does what he does. So like I was thinking, dude, Gaethje sounds like he's got a game plan. Like he sounds hungry. I heard his podcast with Joe Rogan, because those are the main ones I've been turning into lately. I try to get away from the more controversial stuff that Rogan does, but when he interviews fighters, like it's some of the best podcasts that are out there. And when Gaethje was on there with his trainer, they sounded in the zone. So I was like,
yeah,
man, this might be it. They say Gaethje's never been taken down in the UFC. So I think it comes down to that first takedown, first takedown in a sense. If Gaethje stuffs that takedown, I think Gaethje all of a sudden goes in there and just feels free and comes out swinging. Now the key is, will they be wild swings that don't land like they used to be for Gaethje, or will they be timed and methodical like Gaethje against Ferguson? Because everything against Ferguson was landing.
Those were bombs against Ferguson, man.
Ferguson's he's a monster.
But the fact that like it was nailing him like right square in the jaw, it was just incredible.
Yeah.
I love Gaethje. I would love to see a Gaethje win in an upset, but I still think Habib is just a different level. So
I wouldn't bet money. I wouldn't bet money against Khabib. I couldn't. Like if I had to put money on it, I'm gonna put it on Habib. But I would love to see, even though I think that Ferguson would have been the more interesting fight with Habib. I think his jiu-jitsu is better than Gaethje's is. Gaethje has no jiu-jitsu. Basically, he's more of a wrestler, and more of a I want to take your head off kind of guy. Yeah. Whereas Ferguson is I want to beat you up until you look unrecognizable anymore.
Yeah.
Because I thought, and that's why I was like, Ferguson should not have taken that fight against Gaethje. I was 100% against it. I knew it was going to be a great fight, but I was 100% against it. I was like, don't do it. You have a championship fight in your grasp. Just wait.
Yep.
But
he needed the money, man.
It's not even that. I think he just wanted to fight.
Yeah, I know he did.
even when the first time when the actual pay-per-view was scheduled, and then ESPN called it off, he made weight. he made that
I remember that.
And making weight. Yep. So I think he just wants to fight, and I want to see Ferguson. I forgot who he's been like talking to. Oh, him and Poirier were like talking about fighting. And now there's word of possibly Ferguson and that kid from Bellator, Michael Chandler, who just signed with the UFC. And from what I've heard, my co-host says that this man is a monster.
That'd be fun, man.
He deserves, because they said he was the backup in case he is the backup in case Gaethje or Habib don't make it or the fight gets canceled. That Michael Chandler is going to be the backup. And I told my co-host, I was like, already, but my co-host swears by it that this guy is legit and he deserves to be in the top 10, top 5 of the division.
Yeah, I heard about that, so we'll see. I mean, obviously, I think this would be a better fight, at least Gaethje and Habib would. So.
Oh, absolutely! I can't wait for it. It's only a month away, man. It's only a month away. We're so close to it. We'll see how it goes. And I told my co-host that we seem to have. The pay-per-view seem to rotate or like alternate. It's a respectful main event in the pay-per-view, and the next month is a going after each other. So I think the one before this was who was it? Well, I guess it wasn't entirely, but And this one we just had Adesanya versus Costa, who hated each other. They wanted to beat the hell out of each other. The next one I believe is going to be a very respectable with Gaethje and Khabib, especially with the passing of Khabib's father. You know, Gaethje's not going to take shots. And then the month after that, why am I blanking on what the November? I don't remember who November is, but I think it might be. Yeah, I don't remember. I know that's their big one. That's their one they normally like to close out the year on. But I don't know. We'll see. But they like to rotate, like to alternate. Respectable main event, then go after each other main event. Respectable main event, go after each other main event. So this is to be the respectable one to get a little breather from this whole white belt versus black belt stuff.
Well, it says it's Cody versus Figueiredo.
Oh, okay. So that's probably gonna be I don't see why those two would have issues with each other.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, did you see the? I think the Chiefs are about to score again. Yeah.
No, I haven't. I don't have the game on. I just have the Google score.
So it's 27-20, but Kansas City is first and goal from the 2-yard line.
Got you. And it's fourth quarter?
Yes. 8 minutes left to go, though. So.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, with a lineman catching the touchdown pass.
That's incredible.
All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to pull up the NFL. Let's go over if you want to make some predictions with us, me, I guess. So we have Thursday night is Broncos-Jets. Might be a clunker of a game. The Jets are the Jets. Yeah, the Jets are the Jets.
Yeah.
When I made a prediction, I was like, it's the Jets. Like it's. Yeah. Unfortunately, they're competing. They're gonna.
Denver looks pretty bad too, though.
Yeah, and it sucks. I had like high hopes for them because they looked so good towards the end of last year. Mm-hmm. But Drew Lock got hurt like at the wrong moment. But I think that the Broncos will still win this game.
Yeah, I got Broncos too. I think Jets are too far gone.
All right, next up we have the Saints versus the Lions. Now the Saints are now 1-2.
Yep.
Against the 1-2 Lions.
Yep.
I don't know. I think Drew misses Michael Thomas. I really think he does.
Yeah.
And if Michael Thomas isn't back, I might take the Lions on this one. Okuda looks great on the Lions. Absolutely, like 100%.
Maybe just because I'm riding lower and lower on Drew Brees the more time goes on, at least this season. I think I'm going Lions. I think Stafford looked good. I saw that game on Sunday because again, Cardinals.
You're in Arizona, right?
Yeah. So I thought the Lions impressed me. I thought they looked pretty solid as far as offense, at least.
Yeah, because the Cardinals didn't have a bad game. I wouldn't say they had a bad game. It's just maybe they got outplayed a little.
Yeah. So I'll take the Lions, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I thought the Saints were going to the Super Bowl.
I have been in the Super Bowl too.
And now I'm just damn, I don't know. So.
Yeah, it's tough. Next up, Chargers and Bucks.
Ooh, it's a fun one.
Yeah, and I believe Tyrod Taylor will still be out with his punctured lung, which how that doctor's not fired yet.
I feel so bad for Tyrod, man.
It's not.
I feel so bad for him, especially after I saw him on Hard Knocks too.
Yeah,
you saw Hard Knocks.
That's what I heard. Well, no, my co-host is always talking about it and saying like how like he looks like he's hungry, like he wants.
He was hungry, dude. He was hungry and he was passionate, and he had like command of the locker room so quickly. I felt so bad. I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, Tampa. I might say Tampa on this one.
Yeah,
I think Chargers might be too weak.
I think Tom's starting to figure it out too. I think he's starting to figure out that offense, and he's starting to have a camaraderie with Mike Evans. They're throwing he's throwing bombs to him. He had that touchdown pass to Godwin. I think that Tom's starting to figure it out. So yeah, I'm gonna go Bucks. Even though I was so low on Herbert and in that game against the Chiefs, he basically threw it in my face, and I had to give respect to him.
100.
So I would like to see him have a better game this week. And I think, when you go in a cold or not, when you go in with no expectations, like literally he found out like during the kickoff that he was going to go into that game against the Chiefs. And I think with that, you just go in there and just don't mess up. and that takes so much load off of your shoulders. But when you have a week long
Prep.
of prep, it's a lot more on your shoulders. And maybe he struggled with that, but maybe he'll have a bounce back game. So and then that defense in LA, I almost say San Diego every time.
Yeah.
That defense in LA is really good.
Yeah.
So next up we have Bengals and Jaguars.
Ooh.
I have the Jaguars winning the game against Miami because I had them winning in Miami.
Oh, okay.
They ended up, I was like, they look great. Gardner Minshew looks good, and then they lay an egg. So I don't know if anyone's a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, but they just won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, wow.
Over the Dallas Stars. But as long as Dallas is losing, I'm 100% okay with it.
Oh, there you go.
As a Houston fan,
Texas rivalry.
Yeah, but this game, I like Joe Burrow a lot.
There you go. Are you going Bengals?
I'm going Bengals.
I do too. Yeah, I kind of like it too. I like what I see.
And they can leave that game against the Eagles in the same way that I thought that what game was it last year where in his first game when Kyler tied? Who was it against?
Against who?
When Kyler tied a game last year in his rookie season.
Was it the Steelers?
It might have been the Steelers. And I left that game. I mean, I have Steelers and Lions in my head. I don't know if it was the Lions or the Steelers. But I left that game saying that's a win for Kyler. That was a win for Kyler, in my opinion. And I think this tie against the Eagles, that's a win for Burrow. Like he's gonna have so much confidence. Because it's hard to tie in the NFL, even though it happens once a year. But it's so hard to tie in the NFL because these kickers are insane nowadays. And it's sudden death, except for the guy who goes first. It's sudden death. It's so tying and going all the way deep into an overtime. I'm gonna say Joe Burrow's gonna come out slinging it this week. I think I might have lost you. All right, we're back. Can you hear me?
Back. Yes.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So yeah, I think Burrow's going to come out singing it this week.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'll take Bengals here as well. Even though Jags look good, I think it was week 1, right? When Minshew kind of went off.
Week 2 also. Week two, they came back against the Titans. They lost the game, but they came back. They were down like 20 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll take Bengals. It's kind of fun to see the Bengals half decent.
Yeah, and it's just his offensive line and it's the defense. They just keep failing him every game.
Yeah.
But let's go. And he looked great at the end of that game against the Eagles because he had to have a score to tie the game up, I believe, he tied it up, and then I think, or he took the lead, and then I think the Eagles tied it up. But he looked good. Next up, we'll go Vikings-Texans. So don't let the fact that I'm a Texans fan affect your opinion. Who do you think is going to win this game?
Are they both? Has the Texans won yet? Because I think
they're both winless.
both winless teams. This is so fun.
Yes.
I think the Vikings are kind of bad, like really bad. I'm going Texans.
Me too.
I didn't think Deshaun looked that bad. His last game, I thought he looked pretty good actually.
He looked good, but I always
pick was bad. But other than that.
I always have a problem when you can score 28 in the first half or 21 in the first half, and then you go scoreless in the second. It just it irks me. It no matter who you are, I
feel like that's a coaching thing too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a coaching thing.
That comes down to my hate for Bill O'Brien. I hate Bill O'Brien. I want him gone. I will shout it from the rooftops until I almost disowned the team after they traded DeAndre Hopkins. I know you're reaping the benefits of it, but I almost disowned my team. It was right before the season started. I was like, all right, I'm back on.
Yeah.
Like I'm for sure getting my Texans tattoo covered up. I can't openly support them anymore, but I'll still support. But because I love Deshaun and he just signed that big extension too.
Yeah.
Which he did not have to do. I'm just saying he could have 100% just said, I'm out. I'm gone. Leave me alone. Don't ever contact me again. But he didn't. He's trying to make something happen here, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Seahawks and Dolphins.
dude.
blowout.
Yeah, I mean, Seahawks look good, look real good. Especially with Wilson playing the way he is. So
Yeah, he's my MVP right now. I think
I
he's
too.
playing like nobody else in the league. Close second is probably Aaron Rodgers because he's playing great too. But which is surprising because the two guys that I thought were going to be in the top of my MVP rankings were going to be Mahomes and Lamar.
Yeah,
but Lamar is not playing great. He's playing better towards the end of the game, but he hasn't played great. I don't think that game against the Texans that he necessarily won that game. I think that was more the offense was coughing up the ball a little too much. So he had every opportunity. If you get Lamar Jackson opportunity after opportunity, what do you think is going to happen? And then against the Chargers, Mahomes didn't have a great game. Whereas Russell Wilson, all three of his games, he's been the guy. And I don't know how he didn't yell at DK after that fumble.
He made up for it though. He made up for it. That
100%
touchdown, that final touchdown was great. That's a beautiful pass.
Oh yeah,
such a good pass.
And that's the throws that he's been doing for years now. And the crazy thing is he hasn't been getting MVP votes these past couple of years. I think was Lamar unanimous?
Mahomes, you mean?
No, last year when Lamar won it because Wilson was going. They were going game for game, and then he had one clunker of a game, Wilson, and that's what it comes down to is week by week. You have a bad game, you're not going to be in that, and the guy you're competing against has a bad game. Yeah, I think that's what happened here is that they were competing first week. All three had a great showing. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers; they all had great showing, but then week 2, they both kind of have showings, and Wilson goes off against the Patriots, and then now this week goes off against the 5 touchdown passes against the Cowboys. Crazy. Even though the Cowboys aren't their secondary is not great, but like wow, that's all I could say is wow.
No, Seahawks are good, man.
Yeah. Next up, we have Steelers and Titans.
This is a tough one because Titans have looked okay. They've looked pretty solid, and Steelers have looked good. Like actually kind of good, which is a shocking thing to say. Man, I don't know. I think I'll let you go first on this one.
So I'm a little biased. I'm also a Steelers fan.
Oh, there you go.
But I think Ryan Tannehill has looked. I don't think Derrick Henry's even got started yet. I don't think he's warmed up yet. And Tannehill has been looking really good. He didn't look great this past week against the Vikings. He didn't look great against the Vikings, which does worry me. But they were able to ride Derrick Henry all the way to a win. I'm gonna go Steelers. I think Steelers have been playing consistently good on offense.
They're good. Like they're really good. I think I'll go Steelers as well, man. I really do feel like the more I see them play, the more I'm like, wait a minute, Steelers are actually good again. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go Steelers.
100%. Next up, Browns Cowboys. This is tough because I wanted to go against the Browns last week. I lost because of that. I went against them against the Bengals. I lost that one. So you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it 3 weeks in a row.
Okay.
I'll pick the Browns. I think the Cowboys will compete. I think it'll come down to the last possession, like it always seems to come down to for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And there was even though you could take everything away because of the Falcons win. I mean the Falcons playing the Falcons, you're like, they blew it. The Falcons blew it. This one was more. He went tit for tat with Russell Wilson this past week, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
So I might be talking myself out of it.
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys.
I'm gonna talk myself out of it. I'm going Cowboys.
I'm going Cowboys because I think they're hungry for a win. I think they're pretty desperate for one after this last one at least.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going Cowboys for that, and I think they look pretty solid. They've just been slightly beat in other games. So. Yeah,
for sure. I'm right there with you. Even though I almost talked myself into picking the Browns, but nah, the way that he played against the Seahawks, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, and I want to also point out that it wasn't even his fault that they lost. That interception was not his fault, even though he threw it. That was more the 2 penalties that took place beforehand, and on that last position. Yeah. When your offensive line does that to you, it's hard to overcome that. All right, next up we have Cardinals and Panthers. Your team. You think your guys bounce back?
Yes, please. Panthers, another team that's super up and down. They won on Sunday, but I still feel like they're not that good. Versus Cardinals are trying to get better. I think we can come back and get this one. So
yeah, I'm right there with you actually. I think Kyler's probably a sleeper MVP for me also. He's been playing really well. He played well too. I think the defense didn't show up against the Lions like they should have probably. Whereas this week, I think the defense will be able to handle Teddy Bridgewater and DJ Moore and all that. Christian McCaffrey being gone is a huge loss for them. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Cardinals as well. I love D Hop. I'm always cheering for D Hop.
Yeah,
he'll always have my heart.
There you go.
Next up we have, sorry, I gotta plug my laptop real quick before it dies. Colts and Bears.
Ooh.
Bears coming back and beating the Falcons.
Yeah, that was fun.
So Colts 100% handling the Jets, but as we said earlier, Jets gonna jet.
Yeah, I mean Colts are a weird team, but I'll go Colts. I'll go Colts. I think they're looking better than they did week one.
I'm gonna go the opposite way.
Oh, okay.
Our first one, we're gonna go opposite. I'm gonna go opposite because I think Nick Foles is playing now. I think they might start Nick Foles. Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right. They did say they're starting Foles. Yeah.
And after he won the Super Bowl MVP, after I had a coworker at my last job who was a huge Eagles fan, I told him they're gonna get slaughtered by the Patriots. The one time I put money on the Patriots and I lose. But after that, I refer to him as Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. That's the only way that I announce him as. That's the only thing I will recognize him as. So I will say Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. He has a thing about him. He rallies teams. He's a locker room guy that just gets guys to play for him. So I'm gonna say, and the Colts struggle against good defense. I'm gonna say the Bears win this game.
All right.
But I get why the Colts are, like you said, they're up and down. They're
up and down.
Philip Rivers might have like a 5 touchdown game.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor looks legit at running back.
Yep.
Next up, we got Ravens Washington football team. Ravens.
Yeah, I'll go Ravens. Yeah.
Washington football team. I thought they had so much promise, especially with Ron Rivera coach, and they just laid an egg against the Browns last week.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on. Haskins was turning the ball over horribly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens. If you give the Ravens extra opportunities to score, you're screwed. Giants Rams, same thing.
Rams.
Yeah, no, not much to discuss there. This is another good one. Patriots Chiefs, 3:00.
Ooh, dude, I'm really a Cam fan.
Me too.
I consider myself a Cam fan. I'm obviously a Patriots hater.
Yes, same here.
But I'm also a Cam fan.
Were you also screaming at the TV on that last play against the Seahawks? Because I was like legit yelling, like, "What kind of play was that?"
Oh my God. The fact that he just tripped it over as soon as he got free, I was like, damn, I would have loved a Cam comeback.
Me too.
That would have been
Will
great.
you call it here? Or you say Chiefs?
Man, Chiefs look so good still.
They do.
I'll go Chiefs. I'm sorry. Even though I feel like it's fun rooting for the Patriots, which is kind of a weird feeling.
It's weird.
It's weird, but it feels good because I'm just like, it feels like a burden has been lifted off me without Tom Brady here.
You know, it's weird because I always cheered against Tom Brady, but
I can't stand Tom Brady.
I'm cheering for the Bucks. I want to see him have like a nice little run with them. But then with this, I hated the Patriots, and now I'm like, I want to see Cam. Maybe it's just Belichick and Tom Brady. I wanted them apart.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna see them apart from each other. But yeah, I'm gonna go Chiefs as well. They look great tonight.
They look so good. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. All right, next up, this is a tough one too. I think this is gonna be the sleeper of the week. Bills Raiders. Las Vegas has really, really surprised me this year.
But
I
Bills,
think John Gruden and Bills too. I
Bills,
was actually
where did
really
they come
high
from?
on the Bills this year. I was really high on the Bills this year. I think that Josh Allen is a legit quarterback. I think all the hate that he was getting, people were saying, for some reason, people were saying that Darnold was going to be better than him. I was like, y'all are ridiculous. This guy is legit. He's trucking guys. He's making the correct throws. A lot of people thought that he was going to have a bad game against who they played this past week.
Rams.
The Rams. Everyone thought that he played two really bad teams. He's gonna have a bad game against the Rams, and he had a great game against the Rams.
And he won.
So I'm gonna say Bills.
I'm gonna say Bills
very
too.
Close game but the Raiders are
solid,
sneaky good.
Yeah. I
think Gruden has them probably like 2 years ahead of time.
Yeah.
Ahead of schedule.
Yeah. I like the Bills,
right.
Man. I think Bills are fun.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. They have so many good receivers over there too, and Jonathan Abram on defense, man. He picked off Cam, and it looked beautiful.
Yeah, and Cole Beasley.
Yeah, what does Skip Bayless call him? Measly Beasley.
Yeah.
But he always comes up big. All right, Sunday night, Eagles and 49ers. One that on paper, when they made the schedule, this was supposed to be a great matchup, and then injuries and high expectations leading to disappointment.
Yeah,
this is not necessarily one I don't think people are looking forward to.
I'll still go Niners.
I think Wentz is gonna pull this one out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I don't think he's gonna be winless. I think he's gonna eventually win a game. And against a decimated 49ers defense is as good a time as any. And then the Monday Night Football game, another one I think people liked on paper, but now is kind of bad. Falcons and Packers, Monday Night Football.
Ooh, Packers.
Are the Falcons going to give up another 20-point lead?
Yeah, watch Aaron Rodgers come back.
Unfortunately, I think that won't happen. I think they'll end up being down like 20 points.
Yeah, I think Packers got it.
Yeah, Rodgers and Rule. I mean, and LaFleur just seem to be clicking. And Aaron, he's got that whole offense clicking on all cylinders. Aaron Jones looks fantastic. Probably gonna win the rushing title this year.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Packers as well. It's kind of a run of the mill week where it's like the people that are good are gonna win, people that are bad are gonna lose, and then there's a few tough matchups sprinkled here and there. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably have my eye on Red Zone for the noon games. I don't even know if I can watch the full Texans game. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But all right, that's the end of the show, man. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate it. Especially, unfortunately, Jesus wasn't able to make it this week.
No worries.
Hopefully, whenever you come back, he will be here. And whenever you want to come back, man, please let me know, or I'll reach out to you, and we'll set this up again.
Absolutely.
But thank you, please. And we didn't even talk Schmodown, but big ups to Swag Squad. I'm loving it. Spoilers if you. Oh, I don't even know if I can say this. But no one's gonna pay. Liz Shannon Miller getting the big win today. I don't know if you saw it either, but wow, like she's so great. And Winston Marshall, Manager of the Year.
Yes. Yeah.
100%. And I hope you're getting ready for your match. I know it's a ways away, but I hope you're getting ready.
I'm getting ready, man.
The show will just help. The new show will help.
Yep. So, all Star Wars.
Anything you want to plug before we head out, man?
No, just First Cut, man. Obviously, you go subscribe to First Cut, my YouTube channel, Movie Talk.
Wednesday nights, right?
No, Thursday nights.
Thursday nights. Sorry, Thursday nights. live streams. Yes.
Yeah.
Check out him. You and RB3 and Sabrina put on a great show every week. Y'all when some shows don't want to get real, y'all talk the real. Y'all ask the hard questions, and I appreciate that and love that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate.
Especially that. What was it? Holding studios accountable. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that one. But once again, thank you for joining us. You can find me on Twitter at AlecMiller0423. You can find Andres. They can find you at Squad Leader Ace. Right?
Squad Leader Ace. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Squad Leader Ace on Twitter. Is it also the same thing on Instagram?
Yes.
Same thing on Instagram, guys. Also, go to our Patreon.com. Patreon is patreon.com/armbars and suplexes. And check us out on Spotify. I have the link down below. I'm so happy to be on Spotify. It's awesome. But thank you for joining me again. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next week, guys, for Irene, Aldana, and Home 1. So check that out next week. Love y'all. Peace out, guys. And